Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Get ready to learn, enjoy, and grow with me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting lessons. Let's get started. English 4. Quarter 1. Week 1. Our topic this week: comprehend literary texts with subtopics as noting important elements in story grammar, identifying author's or speaker's point of view, sequencing events, and identifying type of plot. And these are the learning competencies and objectives of today's lesson. 1. Comprehend literary texts by identifying and describing key story elements in characters, setting, conflict, plot, climax, and resolution. 2. Identify and differentiate the author's or the speaker's point of view of first, second, and third person using appropriate examples. 3. Sequence at least 6 events from a given text in correct chronological order and demonstrate understanding of cause and effect relationships. 4. Explain and identify a sequential plot and demonstrate understanding by retelling a story using proper sequence and complete story elements. Now, let's begin with listening and reading. What do they mean, and why are they important? Listening and reading are called receptive skills because learners receive and process information from what they hear or read. These skills are essential in understanding literary texts such as stories, fables, and legends.
Next, let's talk about stories. Stories are narratives that can be real or imaginary. They are written to entertain, inform, or share experiences, and they may or may not have a lesson. An example of a story is Cinderella. Next, let's talk about stories. Stories are narratives that can be real or imaginary. They are written to entertain, inform, or share experiences, and they may or may not have a lesson. An example of a story is Cinderella. Next, let's talk about stories. Stories are narratives that can be real or imaginary. They are written to entertain, inform, or share experiences, and they may or may not have a lesson. An example of a story is Cinderella.
Now, let's move on to story grammar. Story grammar refers to the important elements of a story that help readers fully understand it. Story grammar has different key elements. Let's begin with characters. Characters are the people, animals, or beings who take part in the story. They perform the actions and experience the events in the plot. For example, in The Lion and the Mouse, the lion and the mouse are the characters. Setting. Setting is the time and place where the story happens. It helps readers imagine when and where the events take place. Example. A story may be set in a quiet village during the rainy season. The problem or conflict. The problem or conflict is the challenge or struggle that the characters face in the story. It creates excitement and drives the story forward. Example. A boy loses his pet and cannot find it anywhere. The plot. Plot is the organized sequence of events in a story from beginning to end. It shows how the story develops and unfolds. Example. A girl finds a map, follows clues, and discovers hidden treasure. The climax. The climax is the most exciting or intense part of the story where the main problem reaches its highest point. It is often the turning point. Example. The boy finally finds his lost pet in a dangerous place. Lastly, the resolution or the ending. The resolution is how the story ends and how the problem is solved. It gives closure to the events in the story. Example. The boy brings his pet home safely and learns to take better care of it. Understanding these elements helps learners follow and analyze a story more easily because they provide a clear structure of how the story is organized. It allows students to identify what happens, who is involved, and why events take place. With this understanding, learners can better connect events and grasp the overall meaning of the story. Now let's move on to the next subtopic of the lesson, identifying the author's or speaker's point of view. What is point of view? Point of view refers to the perspective from which a story is told, or who is narrating the events in the story. It determines how much the reader knows about the characters, events, and situations. The narrator may be a character in the story or someone outside of it who is simply describing what happens. Understanding point of view helps readers recognize whether the story is told using I, you, or he, she, they, which affects how the information is presented. It also influences how readers interpret the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of the characters. Types of point of view. First person uses I or we. The narrator is part of the story and tells it from their own experience. Second person uses you. The narrator directly addresses the reader. Third person, omniscient, uses he, she, or names. The narrator is not part of the story and knows all characters' thoughts and feelings. Here are simple example sentences for each point of view. First person. I went to school early. I feel happy today. I saw a big dog. I is used for the first person in these sentences. Second person. You go to school early. You feel happy today. You see a big dog. You is being used for the second person. Third person. He goes to school early. She feels happy today. Maria sees a big dog. In these sentences, he, she, and Maria are examples of third-person point of view. Identifying point of view helps learners understand whose perspective the story is coming from and how the events are being told. It allows them to recognize what the narrator knows, feels, and shares with the reader. This understanding also helps learners interpret the story more accurately and see how narration affects meaning and details. Now, what is sequencing events? Sequencing means arranging events in the correct order in which they happen. By organizing events properly, students can clearly see what happened first, next, and last. This skill also improves comprehension and helps in retelling stories accurately. Let's have a sequencing event sample. 1. Anna woke up early. 2. She brushed her teeth. 3. She ate breakfast. 4. She packed her bag. 5. She went to school. 6. She attended her class. Sequencing is important because it helps us understand the correct order of events in a story or activity. Let's proceed with the next topic, identifying type of plot, sequential plot. A sequential plot is a type of plot where events happen in chronological order or in the exact order they occur in time. Here are the structure of a sequential plot. 1. Beginning or introduction. 2. Rising action. 3. Climax. 4. Falling action. And number 5. The resolution. Let's talk about each of them. 1. Beginning or the introduction. The beginning introduces the main characters and the setting of the story. It gives important background information so the reader understands who is involved and where the story takes place. This part prepares the reader for what will happen next. Number 2. Rising action. The rising action is where the problem or conflict begins and develops. Events start to become more exciting as the characters face challenges. This part builds interest and leads the story toward the most important moment. Number 3. Climax. The climax is the most intense, exciting, or important part of the story. It is the turning point where the main problem reaches its highest point. What happens here will determine how the story will end. Number 4. The falling action. The falling action shows the events that happen after the climax. The tension starts to decrease, and the problem begins to get resolved. This part connects the climax to the ending. And last, number 5, resolution. The resolution is the ending of the story where the problem is solved. It shows the final outcome and what happens to the characters. This part gives closure and completes the story.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello my dear students. Welcome to my channel. Now, let's get ready to learn, enjoy, and grow together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting lessons. Let's get started. This is Quarter 1, Week 1. In this lesson, we will continue our topics on comprehending literary texts. We will focus on analyzing sound devices such as onomatopoeia and alliteration. We will also learn how to infer the setting, theme, and genre of a story. Finally, we will practice making predictions based on what we read. Let's begin our lesson.
Now, let us look at our learning competencies and objectives. First, analyze sound devices such as onomatopoeia and alliteration in a text. Second, infer the setting, theme, and genre using clues from the story. Third, make predictions about events based on details in the text. And fourth, use evidence from the text to support inferences and predictions. Now, let us learn about analyzing sound devices in a text. Sound devices are special techniques that writers use to make their writing more lively, expressive, and enjoyable to read or listen to. These devices help bring the story to life by appealing to our sense of hearing, even when we are only reading silently. When authors use sound devices, they help readers imagine sounds in their minds. This makes the reading experience more vivid and engaging. Instead of just understanding the words, we begin to feel and hear what is happening in the story. Now, let us learn about onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a sound device in which words imitate or represent real-life sounds. These words help readers hear the actions in the story, making the text more vivid, engaging, and expressive. Examples. Let's try to imitate each sound correctly. A cat says, meow. A dog says, woof. A lion says, roar. A cow says, moo. Let us listen to more examples of sounds. A pig says, oink. A bird makes a chirp sound. A snake makes a hiss sound. A duck says, quack. A loud explosion or thunder goes boom. Food cooking makes a sizzle sound. A small sharp sound is called click. A machine or car horn makes a beep sound. Here are the onomatopoeia examples used in sentences. The cat went meow when it was hungry. The dog began to bark at the stranger. The frog in the pond went croak at night. The pigeon cooed softly, coo-coo, on the roof. Water went splash as the stone hit the river. The thunder made a loud boom during the storm. The referee blew the whistle, tweet, to start the game. The child began to snore while sleeping. The keyboard made a soft click as I typed. The apple made a loud crunch when I bit it. Now, let us learn about alliteration. Alliteration is a sound device where the same beginning consonant sound is repeated in a group of words. It adds rhythm, makes phrases catchy, and makes language more fun and memorable. This is why alliteration is often used in poems, tongue twisters, and even in titles or names. In addition, alliteration can help emphasize certain ideas or describe characters and settings in a more creative way. I have heard how hedgehogs hog the hedge. This sentence is an example of alliteration because the same beginning sound is repeated in several words. Alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sound at the start of words or at the beginning of stressed syllables. In this example, the H sound is repeated in the words. Here are the examples in sentences, alliteration. The sly snake slither slowly in the sand. Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers. She sells seashells by the seashore. I bought a bag of big bell peppers. The crazy clever cat caught a cold mouse. The big brown bear bellowed in the forest. The happy hopping horse hurried home. The silly snake slid silently on the sand. The fast-flying fish swam through the sea. Now, let us learn about inferring. Inferring is a higher-level reading skill where learners use clues from the text, along with their prior knowledge, to understand ideas that are not directly stated. Through inferring, we can identify the setting, theme, and genre of a story. Instead of simply finding answers in the text, students read between the lines to form deeper understanding. Now, let us focus on setting. One important application of inferring is identifying the setting of a story. The setting refers to the time and place where the story happens. Authors may not always state this directly. So, students must look for clues such as descriptions of the environment, weather, clothing, or activities. For example, mentions of snow, cold wind, and heavy coats may suggest that the setting is during winter in a cold place. Another example is when a story describes bright sunlight, children playing on the beach, and people wearing swimsuits. May suggest that the setting is during summer in a coastal area. Another element that can be inferred is the theme. The theme is the central message or lesson of the story. It is not usually stated directly, so students must think about the character's actions, the conflict, and how the story ends. For example, if a story shows a character helping others despite difficulties, the theme may be about kindness or perseverance. For example, when a character tells the truth even when it is hard, it may suggest a theme about honesty. If a character never gives up despite many failures, the theme may be about determination or hard work. If a story shows the importance of friendship and helping one another, it may have a theme about cooperation or loyalty. Now, let us talk about genre. Students can also infer the genre of a text. Genre refers to the type or category of a story, such as fantasy, realistic fiction, mystery, or folk tale. Clues such as magical elements, talking animals, or unrealistic events may suggest fantasy, while everyday situations and believable characters may indicate realistic fiction. Here are different examples of genre. Fantasy, realistic fiction, mystery, science fiction, folk tale, fable, legend, myth, historical fiction, and non-fiction. Let's also have the common genres and their meanings. 1. Fantasy. Stories that include magical or supernatural elements that cannot happen in real life. Example, talking animals, magic powers, enchanted places. 2. Realistic fiction. Stories that could happen in real life, with believable characters and events. Example, school life, family problems, friendships. 3. Mystery. Stories that involve solving a problem or crime. Example, a missing object or a detective finding clues. Number 4. Science fiction. Stories that are based on science and technology, often set in the future or in space. Example, robots, aliens, time travel. Number 5. Folk tale. Number 6. Fable. Short stories that usually have animals as characters and teach a moral lesson. Example, the tortoise and the hare. Number 7. Legend. Stories that are based on real people or events but are exaggerated over time. Example, the legend of Mayon volcano. Number 8. Myth. Stories that explain natural events or beliefs, often involving gods and goddesses. Examples, Zeus. At number 9. Historical fiction. Stories set in the past with some real historical events mixed with fictional characters. Example, the book of our national hero, Jose Rizal. And last for number 10. Non-fiction. Texts that present real facts and true information. Examples, biographies, informational texts. Our lesson summary. In this lesson, we learned how to analyze sound devices such as onomatopoeia and alliteration, which make stories more interesting and expressive. We also practice inferring important elements like the setting, theme, and genre by using clues from the text. In addition, we learned how to make predictions about what might happen next and how to use evidence from the story to support our ideas. These skills help us become better readers who can understand and enjoy texts more deeply.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello my dear students. Welcome to my channel. Now, let's get ready to learn, enjoy, and grow together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting lessons. Let's get started. This is Quarter 1, Week 1. In this lesson, we will continue our topics on comprehending literary texts. We will focus on the following subtopics as follows: drawing conclusions, identifying the main idea, summarizing story events, and differentiating fantasy from reality. Let's begin our lesson.
Learning competencies and objectives. In today's lesson, learners will be able to draw logical conclusions using clues from the story. They will be able to clearly identify the main idea of a text or story. They will also be able to summarize key events of a story in the correct sequence. Finally, learners will be able to distinguish between fantasy and reality in a story. Let us begin our lesson on drawing conclusions. In this lesson, we will discuss the following key points. What is it? How do we do it? And why is it important? Drawing conclusions means using clues from the story and what you already know to figure out something that is not directly stated. How do we do it? Drawing conclusions. 1. Look for important details or clues in the text. 2. Think about what those clues mean. 3. Combine them with your own experiences or prior knowledge. Example, drawing conclusions. Story clue number 1. Miguel was shivering and his clothes were wet. Conclusion. We can conclude that it might be raining, or Miguel may have gotten caught in the rain. Example, drawing conclusions. Story clue number 1. Miguel was shivering and his clothes were wet. Conclusion. We can conclude that it might be raining, or Miguel may have gotten caught in the rain. Importance of drawing conclusions. 1. Helps readers understand ideas that are not directly stated. 2. Improves critical thinking and reasoning skills. 3. Makes reading more meaningful and engaging. 4. Helps connect the story to real-life experiences. Let's proceed to our next topic. Identifying the main idea. What is the main idea? The main idea is the most important message or point of the story. It tells what the story is mostly about, how we can identify it in a story, and how it helps us understand what the text is mostly about. How do we do it? 1. Look at the title. 2. Notice repeated ideas or actions. 3. Think about what the characters learned. Example, identifying the main idea. A story shows a girl helping her classmates. Main idea. Being kind and helpful is important. For next example we have. A story is about a boy practicing basketball every day. The main idea. Practice helps you improve. Let us now learn why identifying the main idea is important in reading. First, it helps readers understand the message of the story. Second, it guides readers to focus on important information. Third, it improves comprehension and understanding. Fourth, it helps in studying and remembering lessons easily. Let us now move on to summarizing story events. In this part of the lesson, we will discuss what summarizing means, how to do it properly, and why it is an important skill in reading comprehension. Summarizing means retelling the story using only the most important parts in a short and clear way. How do we summarize story events? 1. Identify the beginning, middle, and ending of the story. 2. Focus on key events only. 3. Leave out unnecessary details. Example of summarizing story events. A boy lost his bag, searched for it, and found it in the library. Summary for this story. A boy lost his bag but found it after searching. Another example. A farmer planted seeds, cared for them, and harvested crops. Summary. A farmer grew and harvested his crops. Importance of summarizing. Let us now understand why summarizing is important in reading. First, it helps readers remember important parts of the story. Second, it improves the ability to explain stories clearly. Third, it develops organization and sequencing skills. Fourth, it saves time by focusing only on key ideas. Differentiating fantasy from reality. Differentiating fantasy from reality means identifying which parts of a story can happen in real life and which parts are imaginary or make-believe. What is fantasy? Events or characters that cannot happen in real life. Includes magic, talking animals, and imaginary creatures. Fantasy examples. A dragon flying in the sky. A dog that talks like a human. A child who can turn invisible. A girl who can fly without wings. What is reality? Reality are events or situations that can happen in real life. Includes real people, places, and everyday actions. Reality examples. A child going to school. A family eating dinner together. A student doing homework. A teacher giving a lesson in class. Importance of differentiating fantasy from reality. Let us now understand the importance of differentiating fantasy from reality. First, it helps readers understand different types of stories. Second, it develops imagination while recognizing real-life situations. Third, it improves critical thinking and comprehension. Fourth, it helps learners enjoy stories while knowing what is real and make-believe. Simple practice example. Story. A girl was walking in the park when she saw a fairy sitting on a flower. The fairy granted her 3 wishes, and she used them to help her family. Reality. A girl walking in the park. Fantasy. A fairy granting wishes. Next example. Story. A boy was doing his homework when his pencil suddenly started talking and helping him answer questions. Reality. A boy doing his homework. Fantasy. A pencil that can talk. Another example, a girl went to the beach with her family and saw a mermaid swimming beside her. Reality. A girl going to the beach with her family. Fantasy. A mermaid swimming beside her. Another example, a girl went to the beach with her family and saw a mermaid swimming beside her. Reality. A girl going to the beach with her family. Fantasy. A mermaid swimming beside her. Drawing conclusions. Means using clues from the story and our own knowledge to figure out ideas that are not directly stated. It helps us understand hidden meanings and what might be happening in the story even if it is not clearly said. Identifying the main idea means finding the most important message or topic of the story. It tells what the story is mainly about and helps us focus on the key information. Summarizing story events means retelling the story using only the most important parts in the correct order. It helps us shorten the story while still keeping its main points. Differentiating fantasy from reality means telling which parts of a story are imaginary and which can happen in real life. Fantasy includes magic or impossible events, while reality includes things that truly happen in everyday life. These skills, drawing conclusions, identifying the main idea, summarizing story events, and differentiating fantasy from reality help learners understand stories better, think critically, and become better readers.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.